Well, you're just in time. I hope you don't mind my inviting strangers to your party, Mrs. Jameson.
Why, not at all. Bert, bring 2 more cups.
Yes. Well, I see you pulled yourself together.
Yes.
Yes, I was a little upset myself.
And how do you feel?
All right, let's go ahead and get this started. Everyone should be here in just a little bit. But if not, that's okay. I've got some things in my mind that I felt like it was important to talk about. But I think, what's important to um, focus on right now is all the distractions that's been going on in regards to this space that we're in. Just recently, what I've been thinking about is the um, shooting that took place. I'm not going to say where, or try to mention too many details. But I'm immediately called to think about the atomization that people are so quick to. I know this is a very common sentiment, but people are very quick to dismiss the life of the person that was shot because she was a political person or because of her sexuality or whatever. The dehumanization of a life of someone that they don't even know is something I find very unfortunate and something I see that is also all too common. She brought it upon herself because she because she dared talk back to ICE. You know, it's it's going to lead to our collapse. And I was talking to Psycho about this in the sense that we sort of have these problems within this space because I sort of see the black pill as sort of a continuation of MGTOW and the red pill. I've made up this sort of statement before where I really do believe that there's a certain allure to this attention economy to pit men not just against each other, but against women, and to demoralize them for the sake of views and for the sake of generating ad revenue. Someone also made a good point that it's very well possible that a lot of these BP channels are fake, and they have to glamorize and sensationalize a lot of these stories just so they can get views, just so they can try and get as many subscribers as possible, and therefore get ad revenue. If you can gas up enough people into believing that women are the culprit and women are all the fault for your problems in your life, or Chad, if Chad, for instance, is the fault or the problem for all of the or the creation for all the problems in your life, or your parents or whatever, then you have no agency. Then you have, I don't want to say no responsibility, but it's as if you are an eternal victim. But that's just something that's been on my mind. I think I think right now a lot of people want to have something to blame their problems on, and um, I do think in a sense that, oh, hey, Psycho,
Yo, 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 what's up, Midwest?
doing all right. I'm
Good to
just
hear, man.
just sort of waiting for everyone else to come in, but
Okay. Yeah, sorry I'm late. I was actually napping for like a little bit and then alarm went off and then scrambled to get on, but no, I'm glad to be here, man.
nah, you're good. Um, I was just sort of rambling about the sort of things that divide people within the black pill.
All right. Yeah. Um I could say the whole assortment of things to be honest, but one thing I could really say that really does divide a lot of people is race, particularly in regards to who has it worse based on their skin color. We even spoke about this like a couple of days ago. Even just like I think earlier today, but race is definitely one of the big dividers in the BP space.
No, yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
it unfortunately it is. I mean, I don't know how it ended up being that there was a contingent of white nationalists in the BP space, but well, in a sense, no, I actually kind of do understand because you had well, at least here in the United States, I know it's similar in Britain, but you had a massive influx of immigration, and then you had a dissident side of the right wing party pathologize the immigrant and make it seem like as if that was the cause of all of their problems, right? I'm sure there's
yeah,
something. There's a I don't know the exact framework that goes on in the UK, but I'm sure there's something similar going on. I think what would it be, the Tories or
yeah, Tories and yeah, the Labour Party, but the Tories mainly consist of, if I'm correct, the Conservative Party, which is I should know this as a British person, but I'm not really too clued up on politics. If anything, I tend to stay away from anything politics related in the UK. But the Conservative Party and maybe a little bit of the Labour Party as well, but I'm not too sure. I'm actually looking it up right now. Are you live streaming right now?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, okay.
Nah,
What's
you're
up,
good.
everyone? It's Saikomind. You know, what I mean, very, very good friend of Midwest here. Um, yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to converse with like-minded people, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
You now we talked about this earlier. But I suggested that you come back to YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I don't know if I will be coming back at some point, but obviously I'll be rebranding my persona to be more art related. Um, I'm just not even sure how I'm even gonna go about it. We did talk about how I wanted to do like an art reel or like an art showcase of all of the stuff I've did in 2025. But I'll be honest, there isn't much I did last year. Just sugar drawings and stuff. But I do kind of want to make commentary vids, but I just don't know how I'm gonna do it kind of if I'm gonna come back to like an art channel. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it.
Why
Yeah, I
did
mean, it
you
would be nice to make commentary videos again.
why did you decide to quit making content originally?
So my like my departure from making content was because I wanted to I wanted to mainly focus on uh improving my financial situation in regards to finding work and also kind of staying away from BP related content because I realized that my circumstances aren't as bad as I make out to be in comparison to other people. And I know that everyone has varying degrees of like suffering, especially those of us that are outcasted from society. But I could say that I'm a bit more privileged than most people. For one, I'm still living with my parents in my mid-20s. Not having to worry about rent, not having to worry about bills or anything like that. Um, so I can say, wholeheartedly that, I am lucky to have my people still around me and I'm still able to kind of like I'm sort of like I don't know how can I put it, some sort of positive like back and forth with my family, if I could put it like that. Like it's not all bad with me and my family, but I'm still somewhat connected with them and you know, I still have things that I can do to improve my um that's my overall situation in terms of like my emotional health, physical health, spiritual health. Um, and I realized that making videos online, um, it kind of just also kind of coming into content creation with a negative, I guess, doomerism sort of mindset it wasn't actually helpful to my situation. So I stepped away because uh, I needed to take care of the immediate problems in my life, as opposed to just, I guess, expressing it online and then not really making any actionable changes towards them. So that's why I stepped away from BB content. And on top of that, like watching BB content was making me quite depressed. So I needed to step away for that reason too.
I was listening to this psychologist, and he was saying that he made a very good point where he was talking about the mind and consciousness, and he was saying, when was the last time that you've had your own thoughts? And I sort of had to like step back for a minute, and I was like, "Oh, that's actually a really good question," because um, we're I don't know if like we'd be conditioned to, but like our environment, we're always like looking at our phones, and we're me at least like I always am like listening to something or which I'm trying to be better at. I'm trying to embrace
mm,
silence, or I'm trying to at least, if I'm not engaging in something like a video game or like a podcast or whatever, which I know I should probably cut some of those out too. Um, I know what I should be doing is I should have some alone time with my thoughts, right? And really
mm,
engage and interrogate my own personal beliefs and who I am and what I actually think and believe. Um, that way,
yeah,
I can get a better understanding of, who am I as a person? What choices am I making? Um, where am I? And, who am I and what am I doing? Instead of letting,
mm,
other people tell me, the mistakes I made, or I need to do this, or I did this wrong, or let some sort of algorithm just determine, where my life should be.
yeah, yeah. I think as for myself, I was largely dictating uh the way other people's lives were, and essentially aligning my circumstances with their issues that they were facing. Like I think with the BP is there is a lot of like negative self-talk and a lot of negative viewpoints that are, consistently expressed. Things with dating, the job market, how you feel about yourself, your self-image, how other people perceive you, the truth of how other people perceive you. And, I was taking those videos and I was yeah, essentially just saying that that was my reality. When in actual facts, my reality is not as bad as I think it is. Like I said before, like I'm blessed to still be around my family. We may have had our issues in the past, but we're not completely I'm not completely estranged from them. So I'm thankful for I'm thankful in that regard that I'm still able to kind of be with my own people. Um, but essentially my issues were just literally finding the work really because I came out of university in 2023 and I was struggling to find work and a lot of the depression that I faced was because I wasn't able to find work. It wasn't really about dating or how people looked at me and how people treated me. If anything, people treated me fairly well. Like I've had decent friendships with people all throughout my life. I wasn't really bullied growing up. Maybe like a few times in secondary school, you're coming in as like one of the new students and people are kind of hazing you. But that's just a part of British culture to be honest. Um, but I didn't really have a like my life wasn't very difficult or hard. Um, if anything, my parents kind of took up those hardships by working as hard as they could and providing for us, for me and my siblings. I genuinely think that I consumed too much of BP content and I tried to force my worldview to align with what other people are saying. And I'll say this, like, the BP isn't it's not there are truths to the BP, right? But every truth is I feel like every truth is circumstantial. Um Everyone has a different experience in this life. Everyone has a different different adversities that they need to overcome. And as for myself, my main issue was just looking for work. And yeah, in terms of like dating, that's a whole shit show in and of itself. We can even delve into that if you want. But yeah, like I didn't really have many issues even speaking with women. It was just getting to that stage where I could be intimate with one. And you know, I've made videos about my experiences with women in terms of dating and trying to get to that intimate stage. But failing and fumbling and getting rejected. Those things happened, but like they didn't change my viewpoint of the world. What changed my viewpoint of the world was not being able to find work in my field, which was music at the time. Um, and that really did kind of like that was a really big shock to the system. But
I you know
yeah, like the
s-
BP is not. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're good. It's I think if we're talking about like labor, I think a lot of us put too much emphasis on identifying with our work, and we I'd say, because I don't know the data, but I know for a lot of men that retire, there comes a point in their life where a sizable portion of them commit suicide. So I don't know the exact percentage of men that identify with their work, but I do believe that there's a problem when it comes to putting your full self into your work, and it's like I think we've had these conversations before where the first thing people will ask you when they meet you is what do you do for a living, or we
Mm.
we put too much value into it, too much stock into our labor, where that can be really really detrimental to someone, especially in a time like this where uh, jobs
Mm.
and careers are basically going extinct, or they're going to be like a rare asset.
Yeah, yeah, and it's something my own father even told me. He said, I shouldn't be putting too much pressure on myself. I'm relatively young, and I just essentially just need to put my head down, you know, keep my notes in the books, and just essentially just maintain a consistent work pace in regards to looking for work and trying to build, you know, job ready skills for myself. And I took that in and I considered it, but my um, I was very concerned about time passing and myself getting older and not being able to work, as early as I had anticipated coming out of university. But yeah, identity, aligning yourself and your own identity with what you do for a living, as you say, is very detrimental. But I think that sort of happens because as men, our value is naturally assigned to what we do. And I say naturally in air quotes because that's what the society that we live in kind of pushes
Well,
or
yeah, it's what it
kind of
values, because
yeah,
at the end of the day, our society values production, and it's the complete inversion of what it should be. It's like if you look at medieval or Christian societies and their interpretation of life, and how to value life. You would
mm,
value life and a person just on the basis of being a person, not so much on what they do or who specifically they are or their status. So we've
right.
flipped it on its head, and now it's like we completely fall on our knees at someone like Elon Musk because of his wealth and his privilege and his status.
Yeah, and it is it is a shame that this is the way, the world has become. And this is all because of, the high demands for industrial production and, you know, uh just just I guess productivity in the sense of just having to have things ready for consumption for people, consumers, customers, just people in general always consuming things. So the demand for production has increased in correlation. Um, and you mentioned people like Elon Musk, guys like what's his name, Jeff Bezos, and all of these like business moguls. They've essentially increased. They've essentially increased the speed in which value is directly equal to uh, how productive you are as an individual.
Mhm.
Um, and it is it's disgusting to be fair because you have uh you have very bad workplace cultures where you have companies kind of I wouldn't say abused, but I would say I guess abused, for lack of a better term. They will abuse their workers to meet certain quotas or deadlines and, kind of rush them to work at a faster pace. Um, that's what I experienced in a previous work role that I had. You know, I would always kind of micromanage during my shift. I was always sort of monitored, and everything I did was recorded. So, you know, just even in the state of a worker, like your only your only perceived value is how productive you are within a given time frame or time period, or how much you can produce in quantity, as opposed to like maybe speed, right? But
Where'd you
you know,
last
that's
work?
that's
If
the
you,
way the world is going right now.
yeah, where'd you last work? If you don't mind sharing.
So I don't want to dox. I don't want to dox, but I worked in a warehouse for a reputable UK supermarket.
Okay.
Um, and I was picking and packing groceries, mainly dry goods, so like things like crisps or biscuits, cake, um, and chocolate bars and stuff like that. Just dry grocery items, laundry detergent as well. Uh, what else? Tinned foods as well, processed foods. So I was moving that sort of stuff quite frequently. Um, and the demands of the job were. Now, here's the thing with physically demanding job. I was even talking to Nagi and Piggy about this um in the servers, and I genuinely believe that some people are built for physically demanding work, like they have some sort of genetic uh like alignment towards very hard labor, and I don't have that.
Right.
I don't have that gene. I don't have the physical stature or the physical endurance to do physically hard demanding work. And I think that's mainly because of uh, my birth circumstances. Um, but that's a whole different topic of discussion. I just know that I can't really stick out to the end for hard jobs. And it's not just me, it's most people, right? Most people aren't designed to work very long hours or sorry, and very physically taxing work. It's not natural to the human body to perform these sort of duties and tasks that we're having to do today, just to make ends meet. Um, but I eventually came out of that job in the summer, and I mean, the circumstances, of course, but yeah, that's what I was doing previously, and funnily enough, I'm essentially going back um into the same style of work, but this time I'll be working in a supermarket and not a warehouse. So yeah, um, it's as if like I never really left the pit.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that we've sort of accepted that should not be normalized. It's like, I mean, back in middle school, I want to say, like, I would wake up at like 6 in the morning, just to get ready for the school bus. Um, but it's not normal, for kids to be sitting down for 8 hours, not moving, trying to recite the same information over and over again, and then I think what have like maybe
Mm,
30 minutes of movement, for or like barely any like a like an any type of like a environment, where you can just barely be a part of yourself or think, so it's like there's a lot,
right.
that we I don't know. I know there's a book from John Taylor Gatto where he talks about like how um, uh, the American education system was like designed to make you like a worker. It's like both work and school are 8 hours. You get a 30-minute lunch break. You basically have to repeat information on rote. You can't think for yourself. If you think critically about what you're being told, you get punished. You know, so you have to be an obedient, little slave. So
Yeah, otherwise you get the boot. And I'll be honest, in terms of like the nature of the work I was doing, um, like it didn't really hit me that that I was a slave until I was pulled into, one of the HR offices and they essentially made me regarding modern slavery. And I remember coming out of that office after doing the course, and I remember just crying because uh as I was picking grocery items, right, I was literally just crying my eyes out, um, shakily, pulling out the orders and putting it on my pallet. And I was just kind of like, man, so this is actually my life. This is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm doing at, 24, 25. And I don't think there's a way out of this because the job market isn't opening up to me. It's not opening up to most people, right?
mm,
The most people aren't even working jobs that they even studied for. Most people aren't working jobs that they actually went to university for, or it's just pretty shit all around for most people. If anything, um, most people are getting jobs through nepotism and through word of mouth, and it's just tough, man. It's tough for everyone. But I remember in that moment, um, I remember telling myself I'm actually a slave, and I could have taken this like an alternate way. I could have just been like, okay, I'm a slave. Let me just put my head down and do what I need to do. But I was already doing that for the past, 3 to 4 months. But I mean, after doing that little course in the air conditioned HR offices where all of the pretty women are sitting down, just doing absolutely nothing, right? And you have men pacing up and down the corridors with forced smiles and stuff like that. And yeah, I just like the contrast between working in the offices and then being down with all of the workers and the other slaves. I can't lie, the contrast was quite kind of funny, but it was definitely apparent because you could feel like even walking in those offices, you could feel like a change, like a shift in the energy. And for me, like I didn't feel like I belonged in that office just because of what the nature of the work I was doing, and the people I was working with. Um, so it kind of felt like I climbed out of the undercity onto like the upper part of like the fucking. I don't know if you've seen that anime called uh oh, what's the anime called? Is it Attila? Some
Attila,
shit.
what
Battle of something. It's about this robot cyborg girl and I'm about to hold on. I'm gonna look this up right now,
is
man.
that the
Is
one
it
that was
like
like made into
Battle
like a
of
movie by James Cameron?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one. Oh, what's the name? Battle. That's it. Is it Battle Angel Alita or some
Yeah,
shit?
yeah, Battle
Battle
Angel
Angel
Alita.
Alita.
I only saw the
And
James Cameron
it literally
adaptation.
did. Yeah, it literally did feel as if like I just came out of the undercity and I went up to like what's the upper city called again? It begins with like V, Zandel or some shit. Zan. I can't remember. I can't remember. But it literally did feel like that, man. It really did feel like that. Um, but yeah, I was just it really did kind of throw off my emotions, and I had to resolve myself. I had to resolve um my demeanor immediately because I didn't want anyone to see me cry. Um, and I just kept on working throughout that day. And I don't know if this is by the grace of God or I don't know, divine timing, but that next day I ended up getting fired. I ended up getting fired, man. And honestly, it was such a big, big relief off my shoulders because I did not want to do that. I did not want to do that work anymore. My heart wasn't in it. Um, I wasn't mouthing off at like my supervisors, but I was already showing, signs of rebellion. And I was being pulled into office for, small things, small misdemeanors like being out for lunch for way too long, turning up late. And yeah, honestly, I can't say anything but, thank God for that situation because now I'm not there and I don't have to endure any of that crap. But, I can only say that because, I come from a privileged place where, I'm at home, I don't have to work. I can choose to work. I don't have to work because my parents are making enough money to um, keep us afloat. But I know that won't be like a long-term situation. So
Right.
that's why I want to work. I want to make as much money as I can, even if I'm just doing menial jobs. Like I'll do what I need to do to ensure that my future is my future like contains as little suffering as possible. And but yeah, honestly, it did kind of feel like divine timing because I was going to endure more of that job, you know, regardless of whether I liked it or not. Because at the time, I needed the money to feel some sense of security, and this even goes back to what you said about productivity and people aligning their identity with their jobs, right? I was aligning my identity with my sense of security in my finances. And if I didn't feel secure in my finances, uh, I did not feel secure in myself. And that's what actually made me very, very depressed. Um, and, I'll say this pretty quickly. The neat lifestyle isn't for everyone. You
Oh
know,
no.
it, it's not for everyone, man. I feel like certain people, and I speak for myself in this regard, certain people need to be actively doing things. Certain people need to be outside, being productive for themselves, right, for their own survival, right? I don't feel comfortable just being in my room. Um, I really don't. Like, if anything, I feel like I'm forced to be here because I'm not able to work. I'm not able to find work immediately. Luckily, God has given me His grace and He's allowed me to find work again. Um, after months of not being employed. But yeah, like some people, and yeah, some people just can't be neats, man. And I know I can't be a neat.
Right.
And I might be saying this because I know I'm not going to be in a situation where my parents are going to be here forever. I'm not going to be able to rely on my parents long term. But I know deep down that like I'm at my best when I'm constantly actively pursuing something or I'm working towards some sort of upward progression. Um, I'm not the sort of person that can just stay still. When ironically having ADHD and shit, like I'm not the sort of person that can just stay still. Like I need to keep moving. I need to keep doing something. I need to keep working towards something. Otherwise, the idle mind is the devil's playground, and I don't want to be in a devil's playground, man. I really don't. So yeah, some people just can't be needs, man, and I know I'm not one of those people. I mean, I know I am one of those people. Sorry.
The, for me, it's the uncertainty where it's like I don't know what's going to survive after this bubble pops because I was listening to Andrew Yang and he was saying AI right now is at that phase where everyone just sort of knows AI is in a bubble, it's going to crash. My speculation is that it's sort of going to be like the dot-com bubble where like everyone was getting in on it, and I think there's going to be one winner and probably a few other companies, but that's it. So whether that's OpenAI or some or Gemini, or some Chinese company, it's going to be
Mm,
like a winner take all
mm,
situation. But what happened is, you saw a massive crash that affected everyone. I think it's going to be much worse for all of us. and it's also going to affect like the market in terms of the economy. In terms of what employment will look like for a very long time. It was already bad enough post COVID. You know, so
Yeah,
I mean
yeah,
that's when and we when we used to think of the United States and America, the picturesque, so not the the real America, but the picturesque, sort of stereotype of America, was like the land of opportunity. If you wanted to be an actor, or a musician or whatever, you could just go out and do it. You know, Obviously, of course, it's not that true, but at the same time, it's kind of true. Um, but like it's being eroded, like very, very quickly. Um, like I'm sure I could talk to a number of millennials and they would say like, that the whole situation involving IT and coding in terms of like those careers, like has been going on for a lot longer. But in terms of it being
mm,
this bad, I'm pretty sure something like this is sort of brand new. You know, um, I mean,
yeah,
it's I don't know. I'm not even so sure people that have navigated this before really know how to give advice or how to respond. You know, I could probably outreach and maybe talk to some millennials or talk to, some older folks that have gone through this stuff, but do they do they exactly know how to predict or how to, think about, this situation that all of us are going to be in? Because even they don't know, you know, and they're suffering as well. So my
yeah,
my sort of takeaway is that we need to undo um, our our usual way of thinking, and we need to go we need to go to a way of thinking that is brand new, but at the same time is very old. So my dad and I we were talking one day, and he mentioned that he met someone way back a long time ago in the 90s. This would have been 1992, and he met someone from Ukraine, and this person was so poor that he had to live with his parents, his grandparents, and his aunt and uncles as a grown man.
oh dear,
So that's why I'm saying, I'm saying this is something that we're going to have to live with. This is something that's going to be the new normal for us.
yeah, and in regards to living with family members, that will be, I don't know, I feel like most people are kind of accustomed to that now, especially with, the way, the scamdemic went and people having to be at home with their families, kind of, locked in with them for long periods of time. I think most people are used to that, but they won't be used to the isolation and lack of opportunities, the lack of money, the lack of purchasing power as well. Um, that's gonna really hit people hard, and mm, it might even be no, I think it will be worse than COVID. I think it will be worse than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, yeah, it's just with the advent of AI, like it's not looking too good for humanity. But I don't want to be all doomer about it. You know, AI does have some pros to it. It has improved a lot of things. It has optimized and automated a lot of processes that, companies and businesses were struggling to um uh optimize and stuff like that. But it's the drawbacks are going to be felt and it's going to be felt very harshly.
All right, looks like Dave is on stream.
Hey boys,
What's up, Dave? What's up, man? How you
good
doing?
evening. Hi. I'm fine, thanks. Dinner was a little bit later, so but now I do have time.
That's all good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, welcome, bro. Welcome. My name is Saikomind. I believe you was on Midwest last stream, and we kind of had it's like a little bit of a back and forth in the comment section. So, I'm very happy to meet you finally.
All right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. AI is satanic. I do believe so. It always takes the
No.
middle path, who leads to nowhere. It is always so balanced when it does suggest something. If you're going for life advice, it will always take the safe route.
Yeah, yeah. And if anything, I feel like, you know, most people don't have a healthy enough fear of AI and its current developments. Um, and you know what's so funny? I didn't think AI would be a thing in my lifetime. I always thought AI, and I kind of blame, I kind of blame Hollywood movies for this. Um, I always thought AI was a thing that would be, uh, it would be more like materialized or realized in like deep into the future. I'm talking about like a whole century away from here.
Like way in the
Um,
future.
yeah, yeah, with like when we have flying cars and androids and all sorts of things. But to even have it now in early 2020s, mid 2020s, like I never thought would be a thing. But when the 5G network started to come out, that's when things started to change. Prior to that with 4G, I think people were talking about AI a little bit, but it was not to this extent and not to this depth.
You know they're
But
already making
yeah,
flying cars in China.
oh no way,
Yeah, they are.
no way.
It's insane.
Yeah, of course China's going to be ahead of the curve with anything, right? But yeah, man. I mean, Eastern countries will always have a leg up in terms of future development with technology. I mean, you already see how Japan is with that's the way their society is right now with or the way it's been for quite a long time with just the culture of human interaction and you know certain people having crash outs and the elderly not being able to kind of they're not really being taken care of, so they have a very their society's aging and you know I don't it's pretty sad to be fair because I remember watching a video a couple of years ago where it was essentially like a small clip about you know the Asian population in Japan and how there are elderly people living in singular apartments, and they're literally dying in their apartments, and their bodies are being found by surrounding by the surrounding people, right?
No
And
kidding, really?
yeah, it's pretty dark, man. It's pretty dark, like, and it's kind of I wouldn't say it's funny, but it's interesting seeing elderly people
Hakori or
living like me.
something.
What was that?
I'm sorry, can you
There's
repeat
like
that?
yeah, there's like a term for describing these kinds of people. Um, Hakoriri or I do have to look it up. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, hikikomori, I think is what you're.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hikikomori. Yeah, like the older people, like 60 plus years of age, they're living like hikikomoris, and they're dying in their apartments, and it's just kind of fucked up, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's just kind of fucked up. But I mean, that's what happens when you have declining birth rates, right? That's what happens when you don't encourage your society to produce kids, right? But I mean, yeah, like there's a whole thing with producing kids and stuff. People have different stances on it. Um, I don't really have a how can I say this? I don't really have like a my stance kind of switches or it kind of changes depending on the views of other people and how I feel about Um, how I feel about people in general, like, so I don't really have like an anti-natalist sort of stance, and neither do I have like a sort of like pro-reproductive stance either.
Well, it's
On
funny
procreation.
that the government only seems to care about the birthing crisis at the same time there's like a massive labor shortage, you know, and that's when it should be, that's when it should start to ring alarm bells. Like, hey, wait a minute, these guys only care about me as soon as labor starts to take a massive nosedive and people stop working. It's at the same
Yeah,
time like very
yeah,
convenient when all these like gosh, I remember like back in the 2010s, a lot of these same news outlets, were making fun of men and making fun of like the male loneliness crisis and stuff like that, and men that were actually trying to talk about men's loneliness. But as soon as like we got like actual data about job insecurity and lower birth rates, it's like, okay, well, now we can talk about it because it's affecting women.
yeah, yeah. And if it doesn't affect women, then it doesn't affect anyone, right?
Right.
That's just the way the society is, which is it's funny because these women aren't going to be the one being deployed, boots on the ground, fighting for the Western countries, right? They're going to be sheltered, they're going to be protected, they're going to be prioritized, and it's stupid, really. It's stupid, But yeah, ideally, I would like to live in a world where men are prioritized to the same degree as women are, if
Well,
not more.
they still expect us, to work like back-breaking labor, for 80-hour work weeks, when I'm not going to do that because I have no reason to do that. I have no reason to sacrifice my body and my time when the society I live in has nothing to offer me.
Yeah. Um, and the thing is with that, it's a lot of like the male the male drive to actually work is essentially based on procreation or the chance of procreating and extending ourselves, extending our bloodlines and all of that stuff. And if you don't have men who are procreating at a young age, and if you don't have men that are being pair bonded with, the women, the younger women of their ages and their age ranges and stuff like that, if you don't have communities for young men, if you don't have uh, future prospect for young men, then surely everything will start to decline, right? Everything will begin to fall apart. And as for myself, I think I'm too jaded to even want to have a family or use that as like some sort of driving force to work. Maybe when I was younger and I was more horny and I had more like optimism about my future, I guess I would use like the advent of having my own family to work and stuff. But as of right now, my only motivation is my own survival, my soul survival, and my own ability to actually to fulfill my own creative pursuits, right? That's essentially my only driving force to work. And if I'm not able to fulfill my own creative pursuits, then I have no reason to get out of bed. Um, and I've only gotten to that point because I've become so jaded with the dating market and my inability to have a woman of my own. But now I'm trying to translate my driving force into creative pursuits now. Um, I don't know how long that's gonna last, to be honest. I don't know how long that's gonna last. But I know most men won't be able to do that. Need to have, most men need a family. Most men need their own children. Most men need their own communities to actually, uh, to actually provide for the society, you know. I'm not saying I can live without a community. I'm saying that I'm forcefully having to change my driving force to something that is not like the natural thing, right? I'm essentially transmuting all of my energy towards my own creative desires. But if I could have a say in it, I would much rather be motivated, intrinsically motivated uh for the society by having my own family, right? By having my own children, my own offspring.
Hmm.
Um, but we're not able to have that, sadly. And even the ones that have it now, I wouldn't say they're lucky, to be honest, because the women that they have, on selection aren't. It's not a great selection of women that they're having to deal with, and there's less women to go around as well. Uh, there's not a lot of women to actually pair bond with, and yeah, it's not even looking good for the people that are actually or I guess the men that are actually with, they have their own partners and stuff.
Well, Dave,
So
you said you met your girl on Tinder, right?
Yeah, I I'm maybe a little bit hesitant to talk about my relationship because she actually listens uh, to this stuff
Oh,
and in the science, she's cancer, and cancers always they double check everything,
oh, okay.
and yeah, I was thinking what the psycho was saying, and it's yeah, even for people with relationships, it's a big question for me because I'm 31, she's 33. Um, Time is ticking. Should I impregnate this woman or not? And that's like the sword of Damocles, um, always hanging up in the air. And it would be more relaxed if she was younger, yeah, for that decision. And yeah, being in a relationship, you also have to deal with her needs, with bullshit. Um, uh, a little bit of servitude, and I think it's greatly discussed that the quality of the relationship is the same as your leverage, or the same as your resources. And I don't get mistreated badly, but yeah, it's
yeah, with relationships, there always has to be some sort of compromise, um, especially with when women are involved. I guess some men can get away with not compromising, you know, they can get away with having things always go their way, but majority of men don't have that, that leverage that you speak of, right? Um, and I guess some people can call it a balance, but it really is just leverage and resources and how much you're willing to sacrifice for your own, for how much power you have, right? I think in my case, I've never been in a relationship, so I can't really speak too much about this, but when I was pursuing women, I wasn't really thinking much about what I could bring. I was more so thinking about how much I could take from them. Um, and I wouldn't say I would even have had like a selfish mindset in regards to this like sort of methodology, but I didn't really think much for, I guess, my own future in regards to like if I were to like, if anything, I would just say I was pretty much a horn dog, right? I was just chasing the tail, and yeah, I wasn't able to acquire the tail, unfortunately. But for those that are in relationships, man, it's always like a constant battle over who has the most power in what situation. And I think for me, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with I don't want to have to deal with these sort of power plays and like I just think it's a waste of energy. And that's probably, outside of my own looks and stuff. I think that's why I'm not in a relationship because I'm not willing to compromise on most things. And I don't know, man. I just like I don't know, like if they like your girlfriend wants to like decorate a room and she has all of these furniture, all of this, you know, ornaments that she wants to hang up and stuff like that just to fill the space. I wouldn't I wouldn't allow certain things to go up on the wall. I wouldn't allow certain things to be placed in the room because I admire space, I admire space and I don't want things to be cluttered, you know. I live with my mother is a serial hoarder and she will not like she won't let go of certain items, man. And it's annoying when you have to walk around all of these things, all of these items. You're bumping into things that you shouldn't be bumping into if there was space there to actually walk. And it's annoying. It's very annoying. And if I were in a relationship and I had a woman, I'll let her like she can like decorate and stuff, but it can't get to the point where like there's things everywhere you look. You turn your head, there's a bookshelf. You turn your head and there's a little cabinet that shouldn't be there, but it's just there because, and
You know,
I don't
it's
think
funny
I'm the sort of
because
person to compromise on things like that.
yeah, it's a funny
Mm,
coincidence that you mentioned this because it's the conflict topic number one, the decoration and the aesthetics of the room. And for me, space is also very, very much something important, and I do think it's spiritually charged. And I do think she does have such a bad taste that I do question her sanity a little bit. She's all white. She likes it
yeah.
all white, and I told her, hey, I do have to bring my board games in. I do have to bring in my books, my plants, because I do feel like I'm in a hospital. And yeah, it's that's a big one
Yeah.
for sure.
That is something I don't get. It's like where I work, like we sell a bunch of knickknacks and like home decor, and some of the stuff like I just don't understand. Like who buys like a plastic like ampersand just to put on a wall or whatever? Like some of the stuff like or fake plants. Like I'm looking at my room right now. It's like, well, what do I got? I got yeah, like I got some posters. That's fine, but I got bookshelves I use. I got CD shelves. I got filing cabinets. I got trash cans. I could probably get some more filing cabinets. Just because I got some material I could put away. Um, but other than that, it's like I don't really need much.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think, most men can relate to not needing much, right? We just need just a few things just for our own sanity. And that's really it, to be fair. I mean, I'm even looking at my own room now. Like I've got posters on the wall. I've got my instruments. I've got my cabinet for my clothing, my PlayStation, uh, my weight, and that's really it. Like that's all I really need. But because of the design of the room, it's very cluttered, and there's not a lot of space to do much of anything. Um, but it's good enough for me. It's good enough for me. Um, I just don't like it when big spaces have to be filled with just unnecessary things, man. Unnecessary things. Uh, I guess with women, like they like to feel. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is.
Looks like we got
It must be
Bananafish.
like a mental thing. Oh,
How's
I'm
it?
sorry. What did you say?
Looks like we got Bananafish joining. How you doing?
How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. Do you wanna
What's up, and
now you haven't been on the panel with the rest of the guys. You wanna introduce yourself?
What is there to say?
oh, my name is Saikomind. This is the first time I'm on stream with Midwest. And, I've met him through our shared interest in art, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here, man. And likewise, it's nice meeting you, bro.
You too.
Yeah, and I'm Dave, and I'm from Germany. English isn't my first language. I'm not retarded, but yeah, nice to meet you, Banana.
You too.
Nah, but I was looking through. Where was I? By the way, Psycho. Make sure when you look through I think the last link I sent you will probably be the best one because it's got free practice test questions that you can take, and then you can like take notes on it and then like go through it again.
Oh yeah, nice, nice, yeah. That'll be great, and thank you.
Um, but I guess you know I was thinking about like how can we how how would we create like sort of like a sense of like a universal brotherhood where we could resolve like our differences and just sort of understand like where the climate is in terms of you know the economy and in terms of like where we are culturally and just sort of get past all these differences and just understand that like we have a shared humanity, that we all bleed red.
Yeah, by the way, your video was fantastic, Midwest,
Oh,
about
thank you.
men aren't human beings, they're human doers,
Well,
and the
that's what
value
they
gets.
want, right? They want us to be like
Yeah.
machines that are dots on a Excel spreadsheet that can just work. They tie our identity to labor, but and that's where like in the beginning of the stream I was trying to talk about like the death of Renee Good. The first thing that came out was everyone was just trying to tie her identity to her lesbian sexuality or what else. They tried to say like, oh, well, she was a liberal, and it's like, yeah, but she's dead. The state killed her, and you're like happy over that? Like, what's So it's like the fact that we got people cheering over death and murder. It's like it's insane. It's why like I think like revolution is almost impossible. Not that I'm like a revolutionary, but it's like I just think this idea of people coming together and kumbaya or whatever and having a, a philosophy of personalism is just impossible at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's realistic for some sort of hmm, it doesn't seem like it's realistic for any sort of like worldwide, community to form in terms of the improvement of humanity and what we can actually do to provide a better future for the oncoming generations. But in regards to the men today, I think one thing we can all relate on or sort of kind of come to an agreement on is that, you know, we are essentially by ourselves, but if we come together, we don't have to be alone in our suffering. We all have different circumstances and different adversities that we have to like overcome, and all of our situations are going to be personal. But you know, the way we're all perceived by the society, uh, it won't change unless we are in control of the society. And I'm not saying we should be forming militias and running down the streets with pitchforks and knives and stuff like that. But it may come to the point where we do have to stand our ground on certain stances, and we need as many numbers as we can get uh, to actually form a foundation of strength that is able to withstand and all of the ills that come with it. Um, my whole thing is, protecting the children of today, and the generation that will be coming after Gen Z, which is Gen Alpha. I've already got a few nephews here, um, and I love them to death. I really do. And sometimes I look at them and
Do you worry about like where they're going to be in the future, or
exactly, exactly. If I've had to suffer the way I've had to, and my brother as well, both of my brothers, if we've had to go through what we've had to go through in this society, then who's to say that my nephews won't go through the same sort of trials, if not worse.
Hmm.
And
I don't
depending
want to
on
go.
how, yeah,
So yeah, I don't
but
want to go too off topic, but my sister, she does have three three girls, little girls, and the oldest goes to school, middle one to kindergarten, and they do everything right. They don't give them the iPads. They watch very seldom a movie, but with their peers, um, they're in an environment where the social pressure already starts at kindergarten for for Pokemon, for gaming, Minecraft, stuff like this, and they
mm,
get ostracized for it. And and of course, yeah, my millennial sister, she's like, yeah, I can't understand it, and but she does have to adapt because it only as they grow older, it only gets worse. So
yeah,
even from a very little age, it's not it's the influence of the peers is very big.
oh, it's surprising. I mean, the
yeah,
fact that like these schools are already implementing AI, you know, it's insane, because it just feels like they're already prepping, the young generation for failure.
Indeed.
yeah. Everything is going to be every process, every sort of teaching method for young kids, everything is going to be backed, and uh, everything's going to be backed by AI, and in the coming years, and the more AI is
Have you,
integrated with humanity, the less human people are going to be. The start of it was the scamdemic, and after years go by in this decade, like you can just feel the lack of humanity with people. You can feel it in daily interactions. It's sad, really.
yeah, and also sociologically, if we're talking about school, they are arguing about moving to the neighborhood of the upper class because the worker and foreign environment for the kids, yeah, the nieces they aren't too happy about that school, and so it gets segregated even more. It's like soon
Yeah.
Germany becomes South Africa.
Oh man, yeah, that's hard, man. That's hard.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know, like, because I was watching something earlier where, I mean, the kids can't even read anymore, right? So if they, I mean, I'm just trying to think. It's like reading is one of the most basic essentials. If you want to operate a computer, if you want to drive, but then it's like if you can't even read, well, I, it was like what was it? It was like reading full sentences, but then it's like okay, even the college kids, right? If you can't even write, how are you supposed to think? How are you supposed to, I guess, because, I write every now and then. I used to write a lot more a few years ago. But I found that the act of just, not listening to anything, just putting everything away and just, pen and paper, just letting my brain dump everything, from my mind into my hand, onto a piece of paper. It was very active. Like it wasn't passive at all. Um, it was very meditative, because I was just letting my brain enter a flow state where I was like, okay, um, this is what I'm thinking, and I can reread it and reinterpret, what it is that I want to say correctly. I can go back and edit it, and if something's wrong, then I can, do some research and, understand myself better, and what
Mm,
I'm thinking is wrong and or what is right and stuff like that. Um, but I mean, if these kids can't even do that, you know, then in a sense, it's like they don't even can't even really form an identity, right? And it was already bad before, because if we're talking about like identity, in terms of like America, it's like it's real bad because the only sense of identity like these kids have nowadays, it's like it's brain rot, it's memes, it's sports, it's fandoms, so it's not anything
mm,
real or tangible that people can connect with.
yeah, yeah. In regards to the whole reading thing, I remember my nephew came to visit like a year ago, and he stayed with us for like a week. And like he's a very active child. Like he's very talkative as well. Like he'll actually engage with you in conversation. Um, his reading ability is just non-existent. Uh, I remember, well, I was actually playing Kingdom Hearts. I was showing him Kingdom Hearts, um, and we were just like going through like some of like the text blurbs on the screen, and like he couldn't read what was going on. He couldn't understand what was going on. Like he could play the game, he can navigate like um the landscapes of the game and stuff like that, and he could understand what the characters were saying, but he couldn't read any of the text that was coming on the screen. And I remember him like he was essentially like slapping my arm trying to get me to like help him read.
Hmm.
And I was at one point I was kind of like, wait, you can't read that? You really can't read that? And he's like, no, I can't read it. I can't read it. And yeah, I had to help him read, just little small bits of text on the screen, very simple sentences. And
How old is he?
he's 5. He's 5 now. He's gonna be 6 this year.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Really? So do they just like
Yeah.
pass the students regardless whether they can read or not, or what's the situation? I know that's a big problem over here with a lot of the poor kids that we have in the United States.
Yeah, so his situation is that he's been homeschooled by his father, my older brother. Um, I didn't, I haven't actually had a conversation with him about his stances on the education system, but I can pretty healthily assume that he's not in full support of it. Hence why he is homeschooling my nephew.
Mm,
Um, I do have another nephew. I believe he is starting secondary school. Um, but at some point, yeah, I mean, even my own mother was kind of telling my brother that, he needs to be around other kids his age. He needs to be around other 5, 6-year-old kids. He needs to be having that sort of that intimacy with, other kids, right? He needs to
exactly.
be conversating with them. He needs to be making friends.
Socializing.
He needs to be learning how to, yeah, exactly, socializing. You know, I guess conflict resolution as well. Like, if there's a toy that someone else is playing with and he wants to play with it, he needs to have those sort of experiences, right? To learn how to communicate when if things aren't really going his way. Uh, but he's not having those experiences. He's at home being homeschooled, but he's not able to read, and it's quite alarming because the way he speaks is very like he kind of speaks like above his age almost, but like his reading ability is just not. And when I think about it, it's just sad, man, because now I'm thinking about other people's kids, right? Are they going through the same thing? Like, are they experiencing their children not able to have basic literacy skills? Like, it's it's horrible,
Well,
man.
well,
It's
think
really,
about
really
it.
So,
sad.
Think about it, right? They got that those models of ChatGPT where it's like it's on your phone, right? So all he needs,
Mm,
and he's like the perfect consumer victim for this type of yeah, yeah. I'm being serious, for like this type of product where you get like an Apple
yeah.
phone, right? Because like anyone can get like a phone, and you just have like ChatGPT installed. It talks to you, right? And it just feeds you whatever it is that you want, you know. And I'm
Mm.
praying that your nephew doesn't get ChatGPT psychosis or whatever it's called, But the fact that like even basic things are hard for him, you know. Um, and like I'm pretty yeah, I mean, not that I know too much about UK culture, that's my bad. I could do some more research on that. But I'm pretty sure you guys also have like an identity crisis, where it's like I'd say like most of your men at least, really just identify with like football and what else? Like that's sort of like all that you have remaining as a part of your culture. It's not really it's sort of like decaying, I should say, and you can't really your generation's losing the ability to think critically and be creative. Now obviously you are a creative person, and you're thinking critically. So I really do think you're very smart, and you've got all your certs. So I know that obviously you have a lot of potential, but the BP is realizing that you're not able to meet that potential because of these systemic problems that make it so hard for us to reach what we should be able to reach.
maybe time
Yeah.
is a factor.
Yeah.
Maybe time is a factor for millennials and even late Gen Z, because if the reading and writing ability is so bad with Gen Alpha, then we will become automatically the boomer intelligentsia in the future.
It, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't remember who gave like a good like warning about like the invention of the television. It was one of these Japanese writers, but he, you know, everything, is a distraction, and that's why like I think we need to be very careful with like all these algorithms and stuff like that that just like spoon feed us like BP content and very derisive, aggressive content, you know, and they try to make us they try to it's like an internet identity, and they try to shape our thoughts and our minds into something that we know we're not. um, I got
Mhm.
I should probably make a video on this separately, but it's like I got swept up in this back when I was in my early 20s. So how old was I when I was in my first semester of college? I want to say I might have been 21, 22. So I had my own identity crisis because I am mixed race. I'm half Czech, half Mexican. So but that was so this was back, yeah, when Donald Trump was just elected, and there was the far right dissident that was like making race the primary source of their identity. So that put me at a crossroads, and it wasn't until
Mm.
much later that I realized that that was wrong. And but it took me a long time to get out of that confusion, because once you get sucked up in like a black hole of all this content that's like curated, you know, um, it can be very hard to decondition yourself and, you know, um, undo the brainwashing. So, and then of course you could get brainwashed by something else entirely. So, I don't know. I mean, I think something like the black pill needs like sort of like a genuine systemic analysis, or what would you call like a meta-analysis, by some good researchers out there to help us better understand like what it is exactly and what we can do to um, derive the proper information out of it, and you know see what the causal links are, and that creates someone that's black pilled, and what they can do to get out of it. What I guess a good question is like what do we call it? Do we call it like the gray pill or like the post black pill or
I don't know, to be fair. I've heard terms about, the white pill, which is I guess like hope and optimism and those sort of things. Uh
And
if
still
if
applying the
anything,
wisdom of the BP.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Dave?
Yes, it's white pill is like you are black pilled about life, but you you walk with optimism and you do apply the knowledge of the black pill without its pessimism, right?
hmm,
Yeah, 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 exactly that. Um I I I, I feel as if the black pill in its current state it has too much of a focus on like the dating environment of today. Um, if anything, you know, dating is just surface level of black pill talk. Dating and I guess jobs as well, economics. That's sort of just right in your face, sort of like bare bones. You know, and I feel as if there needs to be a change in the sort of topics that are being talked about in the space. Um, and there should be less of a focus on what's currently being regurgitated in on social media platforms. Uh, sadly, you know, it looks Maxim became a sort of like a sort of like poster for the black pill when it became popular on TikTok. And yeah, that essentially kind of diluted the message of the black pill.
I think I'm gonna
And
end the
yeah,
stream in a little bit, but like just one last thing. I don't know anything
mm.
about clavicular, so could you guys like give me like a rundown or whatever?
Killer
Oh, I
or
don't know
what?
anything about him either.
You don't know anything about him either?
The
What about you, Dave?
I didn't understand the curlicular or what.
Like I was asking like, do you know who he is, or like if you could like give me like a rundown, like your thoughts on him, or
Uh, no, never heard of him.
okay, like what
Who's he supposed to be?
I think
Like a
he's
YouTuber or something?
yeah, he's like an influencer or whatever. That was like, I guess his story is like he was like ugly, and then he started looks maxing with like surgeries, and then like now he's like on all these podcasts. Like I guess he was like talking to Nick Fuentes recently or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand about Clavicular is that, uh, like you mentioned, he did a few surgeries and now he's essentially popular off of his looks. And yeah, I mean, honestly, do like I don't really keep in touch with like the look max and stuff. Like I do remember like 3 years ago when I first came into the BP. Uh, what really BP'd me was my job prospects coming out of university and not finding work. But I did kind of dive into the looks maxing rabbit hole a little bit, but I wasn't really in there for long because I realized that was kind of a waste of time. Um, so I kind of just went away from it. Um, but yeah, he's essentially just another like grifter. Um, telling people to focus on their looks and stuff. But
I know
it's
Marcus.
I don't know, man.
I know Marcus made a video saying like that like it won't last because like he has autistic traits, and so even other Chads are like noticing, and they're like, yeah, no, like he's not really a Chad. So it's I just found that kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because a lot of these looks maxes are actually autistic. I think there's another one. Oh, I forgot. I don't actually. I'm gonna look it up because I literally saw the video earlier today. But it's just another clavicular clone, and yeah, this whole looks maxing shit is just retarded, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's
Dave,
retarded.
what was the name of that Swedish kid or whatever that like made the video saying like I'm ugly and then he got married or whatever?
Oh yeah, the rat-looking guy.
Yeah, do you remember his name, Dave? Or
Oof, the one who got married
yeah,
quite recently. Yeah, I know about him. Yeah.
wonder if he's still
Let's
married or if
see.
like if that was like a short term thing.
I, I do believe he got married again.
Again?
Yeah, or or it's the same girl. I don't know. Last I checked from half a year ago, but then he isn't on my radar
Okay.
right now. Yeah, I also think there's just so many Tinder analysis and looks maxing stuff. It gets old pretty quick,
Oh
and
yeah.
also there's a lot of Zoomers who do the gaming and then Doom talking, DBDR clones. That's like the only Blackpool stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also long for new content. And one thing I did want to ask you guys is it's about socially. If people don't like us, and I did have plenty of interactions, and I'm 31 years old, but I really have a hard time to distinguish when someone doesn't like you, if they are jealous of us because they do feel a little bit of spark and uh, or a little bit of intelligence and they're threatened, or are they taking pity with us, or
I I
are we
genuinely
disagreeable? I, I can't distinguish
I
what is going on sometimes.
I genuinely believe girls when they say like that guy gives me the ick, because like it's a evolutionary trait because like they're pushed away from like anything that like might harm them, and usually that's ugly men. That's men that smell bad. That's men that that's men that give them the creeps. So it's a again, whether you want to believe like in evolution or creationism or whatever, it's a part of our biology that tells us there's something wrong with that person. And for other men, usually it's men that are very intimidating or imposing. So usually we back away or we try to sometimes as animals we try to make ourselves look larger and more imposing, but that's pretty rare for us. Um, but no, it's I believe women, when they say that. Um, I well, what did that one girl say about me? Um, oh, I had one girl say very politely that I'm what'd she say? She said I'm not ugly.
Oh wow.
And then I had another girl. I can't remember the actor Jake from the Twilight series. She said I'm a Timu version of him.
That's not too bad.
I
Yeah.
I mean the Timu version.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
pretty bad.
you
Man,
know,
you
I'm
you
asking
won't,
this
bro.
because of professional encounters I do have, and a lot of I do guess I give off the air of toxic masculinity, and they know I'm just giving lip service to a lot of stuff. I'm not too popular with teammates, um, and I'm not too out there with the things I speak, but I do think there's also an element maybe we're spiritually marked a little bit, or when there is awareness about certain stuff, people will pick it up and they will resent you and hate you,
Oh yeah,
maybe.
yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I can agree on that as well. Uh, I like to think sometimes that I'm cursed because of the way certain things have have gone down in my life. But sometimes I like to think that I'm also like protected in some form or fashion as well. But I don't know. If anything, all I can really say is that,
Yeah, yeah, I can relate.
yeah, like the loneliness is very difficult to even now, like it's still difficult to process. But yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm probably
I
gonna have
do
to
think
come off
I
at some point. Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
sure.
Go ahead.
The
Well,
the
I do think
Yeah,
it's
go
like
ahead.
visible. The loneliness is visible somehow. Um, uh, but maybe it is the smell or by being too friendly or trying too hard is like extremely off-putting, and
Yeah,
that you know it. And I don't believe that is something that has to do with BP stats, yeah, height or attractiveness, because I do know plenty of guys who do well socially, but I do think these guys they really did internalize I'm not special, and so they they don't come off as threatening because when I I tend to believe also when I say to myself, "Hey, I'm not special. I'm just here for a few hours. Things will go better." But if you push over and do have a spark or something, then things tend to go badly with me. And yeah, it's like the normies are saved with the neurotypicality and the safeness and the consensus they reflect.
the way I see it is like it's no coincidence that the two best friends that I made back in middle school were almost like very identical to me. Identical personalities in the sense that we were all very socially awkward. Um, we were all single. Um, we had very similar interests. We were all nerds. We were all very um, interested in anime even before it was popular. Um, and I don't know. It just, I'm not to sound like a woman, but it just sounds like it's one of those
Mhm.
things where it kind of makes it seem like as if what would you call it? Astrology has some truth to it. Um, but I mean, it's not. I guess it's not uncommon knowledge. That like, attracts with like or whatever. Um, but as far as people being repulsed or whatever, I mean, um, it could be just simple psychology, where we're attracted to that that we're familiar with. You know, if I'm not too familiar, with certain customs or culture, I'm probably not going to be so I'm probably going to feel unsafe around it. I'm probably going to feel very uncomfortable, and so I'm going to keep my distance. You know, and you put that in a person, I'm probably going to do the same thing, unless of course I do develop an interest in the weird or the unusual or the unattractive. Then I'll probably want to press my luck and go touch it and go explore it and stuff like that. So, I mean, you've got
Mm.
a wide variety of people. I'd say most people are comfortable with the familiar, and there's a minority of people that do want to genuinely have an interest in the weird and the unusual. So I mean, I'm a rather
Mm.
weird, strange person. Ever since I was a child. So, and I didn't fit in well with the other kids. It was very hard for me to make friends. And even now, my interests are very strange and unusual. So it's still, it can be hard to be my true self with other people. So that's why I think it would be hard for me to connect on an intimate level with another person. But the times that I was able to, it was very, I felt that it was very true and very beautiful. And that's what I
Mm.
miss the most. That for me is the true black pill, is that I'll never have those relationships again. You know. Um,
Mm. Did they do better than you socially? The two friends who are like you,
they did end up
or
they did
are they in the same place?
they ended up getting girlfriends, but in terms of like careers or whatever, like I don't know. Like I haven't talked to them in years. So I mean, we quit being friends when I was 19, I want to say. So
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's interesting because, that's for me, that's the mystery, or that it was a part of a question that I couldn't really describe. Um, if same stats are given, if same personality, there are still people winning who are like a little bit awkward, a little bit neurodivergent, who do quite well in social settings, and then it it remains a mystery to me what happened for me and for the others. It could be uh, if you had a good experience in your early childhood and early school, that maybe you can get back on track easier. But yeah,
I mean, it's
I-
just about how good you are at playing all the social games. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. If you're not good at that, if you're not good at like creating connections with other people, I mean, society is basically just built on nepotism. If you can't form
true, yeah.
connections with others, you're gonna lose.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Hmm. Pretty much. But I mean, look, I actually have to go. I actually need to eat some food and prepare for my day tomorrow. But Midwest, I just want to say quickly, um, thank you so much to speak on your channel and speak with the other guys here as well, man. I really do appreciate this. And again, if you do go live again at some point, I'd love to join and I'll continue where we left off, man.
yeah, no problem.
And, man,
Was
well,
nice
have a good
meeting you,
evening, you
Zach.
guys. Yeah,
You
likewise,
too.
Jade, man. And nice meeting you too, Bananafish, bro.
You too.
Bye, guys. Peace.
Night.
Bye.
That is a very good question, Dave. I mean, I think you're just gonna have outliers in terms of like people that are neurotypical or unusual or weird. Um, that will succeed. It could be in spite of their differences. It could be some advantages that were laid out for them. It's like I um, my best friends. One was very charming and the other did have good looks and he was taller. And in spite of his um, very strange habits and personality quirks. you know Whereas me, I was like I consider my looks to be like average or at least below average, you know. But
Mhm.
it's again, and if you want to put it in terms of like perspective of like the markets, it's like, what do I really have to offer? If I'm not good looking or if I'm not charismatic, I don't really have much to put on the table.
Mhm. Yeah, we talked last stream about that, and that I did think about your situation, and the body in retail came to mind, who is like 5'8". He didn't look special, but he played the field, he played the team. Was great to being around. He isn't successful romantically, but very successful socially.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's also the outgoing personality momentum, of course.
I am tr
But I can imagine you to be also quite extroverted with the right setting.
I'm trying to. That's something I'm trying to make improvements on. I'm going to go back to this men's group that I used to go to, and then I'm also going to take more opportunities to go to my young adults church group. So I am trying to, and
Oh, cool.
that this once I get my situation settled with Medicaid, I'm going to be able to see if I can actually get my benefits and go to therapy. So I am trying to make like steady, slow improvements with my life.
Yeah, sure. And I guess you will succeed, of course. And the I do think I do think there's some truth to basic looks maxing, at least getting to a healthy body fat. If you never did that, then no one can write it off as nonsense, you know.
I
But
mean, my,
we don't have to go deep into your situation.
I mean, my favorite piece of advice to other men is take a shower.
Yeah, yeah,
Take
it's
take a shower and wipe your ass.
necessary. I hate water. It's not my element.
I want to smell like a swamp.
You want your present known, not to be seen.
Exactly. Don't you know that women love it?
Smells.
They love the natural scent.
Isn't it like evolutionary that women did
Oh yeah,
a smelly man
the
did work
natural
hard, and
pheromones.
and so he gets, yeah, he gets rewarded.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah, the musk, my musk, that comes off my armpits and my ball hair. That's what women want.
Maybe. Oh,
All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it now. Was there any last minute things that you guys wanted to say?
no, was cool again meeting Psycho and talking to you again, and we'll keep in touch. Take care.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye bye. Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.